If you are living paycheck to paycheck right now, I want you to listen to me very carefully because what I'm about to tell you is going to sound harsh, but it's the truth. And nobody else is going to tell it to you straight. You are not stuck because you don't work hard enough. You are not stuck because you're bad with money. You are stuck because the entire system you're living in was built to keep you exactly where you are. Your paycheck comes in, your bills go out, and by the time you're done, there's nothing left. And then you do it again next month and the month after that for years, maybe for your whole life if you don't do something about it right now. I've built companies, I've lost money, I've made money, I've been broke, sleeping on a floor with 6 roommates, and I've been a billionaire. And I'm telling you, the difference between those two versions of me was not luck, it was understanding exactly what I'm about to explain to you in the next 30 minutes. So don't walk away from this video. Sit down, pay attention, because this could be the thing that changes the rest of your life. Before I get into it, I need you to do one thing for me. Hit subscribe right now. I'm not saying that because I need the number to go up. I'm saying it because what I'm about to teach you in this video is worth more than a business degree, and you're getting it for free. People pay me thousands of dollars an hour to sit in a room and tell them this stuff, and you're getting it because I want more people to actually win, not just talk about winning. So subscribe and let's get into it. Here's the first thing you need to understand, and it's going to make some of you uncomfortable. The paycheck cycle is not an accident. Think about how it's set up. You get paid every 2 weeks or once a month if you're unlucky. Rent is due on the 1st. Your car payment is due somewhere in the middle. Your credit card statement closes right when your account is at its lowest. Every single piece of that timing is designed so that money touches your hands for about 48 hours before it's gone again. You don't even get time to think about it. It just flows through you like you're a pipe, not a person. And the scary part is, the faster you make more money, the faster that pipe gets bigger and the faster it drains. I've seen guys go from making $40,000 a year to making $200,000 a year. And 5 years later, they're just as broke, if not more broke, because they upgraded everything the second the money showed up. Bigger apartment, nicer car, more stuff. That's called lifestyle creep. And it is the single most dangerous trap out there because it feels like winning while it's actually keeping you exactly where you started. The system doesn't care how much you make, it cares how much you spend. And most people never stop to ask themselves why their spending always seems to match their income, no matter how high that income climbs. That's not a coincidence. That's a habit. And habits can be broken, but only if you see them clearly first. So step 1, before you do anything else, is admitting that the amount of money coming in has almost nothing to do with why you're stuck. I know guys who make $500,000 a year who are one missed paycheck away from disaster. And I know a guy who changed oil for a living who retired with more in the bank than most doctors. The paycheck is not the problem. Your relationship with the paycheck is the problem. Think about the last time you actually got a raise. Remember that feeling? For about a week, you feel like you're finally ahead. And then, without you even deciding to, your spending catches up. Maybe you didn't buy a new car, but you started ordering food delivery 3 nights a week instead of 1. Maybe you didn't move to a bigger apartment, but you started buying the nicer version of everything at the grocery store. Without even thinking about it, nobody sits down and says, I am now going to spend exactly as much as I make so I stay broke forever. It just happens quietly in the background because your brain adjusts to whatever amount of money touches your account and treats that as the new normal. That's why I tell people the raise isn't the win. What you do with the raise is the win. And almost nobody is taught that. School teaches you how to get the job. Nobody teaches you what to do once the paycheck actually shows up. That gap in education is not an accident either, by the way. It's a lot easier to sell things to somebody who was never taught to ask hard questions about their own money. Now, here's the second piece, and this is where I want you to really lean in. Most people think escaping the paycheck cycle means getting a raise, or getting a better job, or winning the lottery. Wrong. All of those things just give the trap more money to work with. What actually breaks the cycle is understanding one simple idea: you have to stop trading time for money as your only source of income. Right now, if you're like most people watching this, every dollar you make is tied directly to hours you worked. You show up, you work, you get paid. You don't show up, you don't get paid. That's called active income. And it has a hard ceiling because there are only 24 hours in a day and you can only sell so many of them. I don't care how good you are at your job if the only way you make money is by trading hours. You will always be one sickness, one layoff, one bad month away from the exact same crisis you're in right now. The people who actually escape this thing build something on the side that makes money. Whether they're working that hour or not, it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to replace your job on day one, but it has to exist. And when I was starting out, I was selling garbage bags door to door and bartending at night, and neither of those were what got me out. What got me out was the thing I built on the side using the skills I already had. And I kept doing my day job while I built it because I wasn't stupid enough to burn the boat before I had another one built. That's the move. You don't quit your job to chase a dream with no plan. You build the second stream quietly, on nights and weekends, until it can stand on its own 2 feet, and then, and only then, you make the jump if it makes sense. So let's talk about what that second stream actually looks like for a normal person. Because I know some of you are thinking, Mark, I don't have a tech idea, I don't have investors, I don't have anything special. You don't need any of that. You need one skill that other people will pay for, and you already have at least one, whether you realize it or not. Maybe you're good at fixing things. Maybe you're organized and could help small businesses with their books. Maybe you know how to cut hair or build websites, or you're just really good at talking to people and could sell something for a local business on commission. The internet has completely erased the excuse of not having access. 20 years ago, you needed money to start something. Today, you need a phone and a Saturday afternoon. I want you to think about what you already know how to do that somebody else would happily pay for. And I want you to start doing it this week, not next month, not after you save up. This week, 10 hours a week outside your job is enough to start. That's 90 minutes a day. Everybody has 90 minutes a day. You're just spending it on something else right now, and you know it. The goal isn't to get rich from this side thing immediately. The goal is to build a second river of money flowing into your life so that when your job river slows down or dries up, you're not standing there with nothing. Let me give you a few real examples so this doesn't stay abstract, because I know abstract advice is worthless. Say you work in an office and you're decent with spreadsheets. There are small business owners all over your city right now who are drowning in paperwork and would pay someone $50 or $100 to clean up their books for a few hours on a Saturday. Say you're a parent and you're great at meal planning on a budget. There are other busy parents who would pay for a simple weekly plan that saves them time and money. Say you played a sport in high school and you know the fundamentals. Cold. Parents in your neighborhood are paying strangers to coach their kids on the weekend, and that stranger could be you. None of these are complicated businesses. None of them require a website or a logo or a business card. They require you to find one person willing to pay you for something you already know how to do, and then finding a second person, and then a third. That's it. That's how every single side income I've ever seen work actually started, one customer at a time, built on a skill that already existed inside somebody who just never thought to sell it. Now let's get into the part that actually separates the people who escape from the people who talk about escaping. And that's what you do with the money. Once you have more than one stream coming in, this is where most people mess it all up, because they finally get some breathing room and they immediately fill that room with more spending. I need you to do the opposite. The first real dollars you make outside your paycheck, you do not spend. You put them to work. And here's what I mean by that. Money sitting in a checking account is dead money. It's not doing anything for you. It's just waiting to be spent on something. But money that's invested, even a little bit, even $50 a month, is alive. It's out there working a job for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, while you sleep, while you're at your actual job, while you're on vacation. That's the whole game. Rich people are not smarter than you. I promise you that. What rich people understand and what they teach their kids at the dinner table that most families never talk about is that you don't just earn money, you plan it. You put it into things that grow. That could be an index fund, that could be real estate, that could be a small stake in a business you believe in. It doesn't have to be complicated. And honestly, for most people starting out, boring and simple beats fancy and complicated every single time. What matters is consistency. I would rather you put $50 a month into a simple, low-cost index fund every single month for the next 20 years than try to time some hot stock tip you heard about from a guy at the gym. Consistency beats timing. Time in the market beats timing the market every single time. And the earlier you start, the less money you actually need to put in because time does the heavy lifting for you. This is the part that finally breaks the cycle. Because once your money starts making money on its own, you're no longer relying entirely on your hours. You built a machine, and that machine doesn't need you standing over it every minute of the day. I want to give you real numbers here because vague advice doesn't stick, but numbers do. Say you're 25 years old and you start putting $200 a month into a simple investment account that grows on average around 7% a year, which is a reasonable long-term average for a broad market fund. By the time you're 65, that's not 40 years of $200, which would only be about $96,000 total. That's well over $500,000 because of what your money earns on top of your money year after year, compounding on itself. Nobody handed you that money. You didn't win anything. You just let time do what time does when you get out of its way. Now flip it around. Say you wait until you're 35 to start that same $200 a month. You only lose 10 years? Right, wrong. Here's the part nobody wants to hear, though, and I'd be lying to you if I skipped it. Building that machine takes time, and there's a real danger zone in the middle where a lot of people give up or get knocked backward. And that danger zone is what happens when life throws you a curveball. While you're in the middle of building a car, breaks down, somebody gets sick, you lose a job. Right when you are finally gaining momentum, if you don't have any protection in place, one of those moments can wipe out months or years of progress and send you right back into the paycheck cycle you were trying to escape. Except now you're also carrying debt from the emergency. So before you go crazy investing every dollar you save, you need a buffer. I'm talking about 3 to 6 months of your basic expenses sitting in a boring, safe, easy to access account. Not invested, not touched, just sitting there like a fire extinguisher. You hope you never need it, but when the fire happens, and it will happen eventually to everybody, that buffer is the difference between a bad month and a financial disaster that takes years to recover from. Once that buffer exists, you protect it fiercely. You don't dip into it for a vacation or a new phone. It exists for one purpose only. And alongside that buffer, you have to be honest about debt, especially the kind that's eating you alive with interest, credit cards, payday loans, that kind of thing. If you're paying 20%, 25% interest on a credit card, balance, no investment on earth is reliably going to beat that. Paying that debt down is mathematically one of the best investments you can make because it's a guaranteed return in the form of interest. You stop paying. People get so focused on growing money that they forget the fastest way to grow your net worth sometimes is to stop leaking it out the back door. I've watched people build a little bit of momentum, feel good about it, and then get completely blindsided because they never built that buffer first, and that's usually the moment they give up on the whole plan entirely. Don't let that be you. Building the buffer isn't exciting. It's not going to make you feel like an investor or an entrepreneur. It's going to feel boring, like you're just parking money and watching it barely grow. And that's exactly the point. This money isn't there to make you rich. It's there to keep you from getting knocked backward when life does what life always eventually does. And on the debt side, I want to be really clear about something because a lot of financial advice out there treats all debt the same, and that's just wrong. A mortgage on a home you can afford, or a reasonable loan that helped you build a skill or a business, that's a completely different animal than a credit card balance sitting at 20-something% interest that's been rolling over for years. That second kind of debt is an emergency. Treat it like one. Attack it the same way you'd attack a leak in the bottom of a boat, immediately and aggressively before you worry about anything else on the list. Now let's zoom out, because I want to tie this all together into something you can actually act on tomorrow morning. Escaping the paycheck cycle is not one giant leap. It's not quitting your job tomorrow and starting a company with no plan. And it's definitely not winning the lottery, because I promise you most lottery winners end up broke again within a few years because they never fixed the underlying habits. They just delayed the crash. Real escape is a sequence. First, you get honest about where your money actually goes because you cannot fix the leak you refuse to look at. Second, you build a second stream of income using a skill you already have, even if it's small and slow at the start. Third, you take a portion, even a small portion, of every new dollar that comes in and you put it to work through consistent, boring investing instead of letting it sit dead or disappear into lifestyle upgrades. Fourth, you build a safety buffer so that life's curveballs don't knock you all the way back to zero. And fifth, you attack any high-interest debt like it's on fire, because it is. None of these 5 things require you to be a genius. None of them require you to already have money. What they require is discipline and patience, which honestly is rarer than talent. And that's exactly why the people who actually do this stuff win, while everybody else keeps waiting for a bigger paycheck to save them. It's never going to be the paycheck. It's always going to be the system you build around it. And look, I know some of you watching this are thinking, this all sounds good, Mark, but my situation is different. I've got kids, I've got medical bills. I'm already stretched to the limit. I'm not going to pretend every single person is starting from the same place, because that would be dishonest. Some of you have a much harder climb than others, and I respect that. But I've also seen people in genuinely brutal situations, single parents working 2 jobs, people recovering from real financial disasters, claw their way out using exactly this framework. Just slower, just with smaller numbers. At the start, the framework doesn't change based on how hard your situation is. What changes is the pace. Somebody starting with an extra $10 a week is still doing the exact same thing as somebody starting with an extra $1,000 a month, just on a different timeline. Don't let the size of your first step convince you it's not worth taking. It is. All right, here's your challenge. And I want you to actually do this, not just nod along and close the app tonight before you go to bed. I want you to write down one skill you already have that somebody would pay you for. And I want you to figure out one specific way you could offer it to somebody this week, not someday, this week. And then I want you to open up whatever account your money sits in and set up an automatic transfer, even if it's just $25 into some kind of investment account. So the very next paycheck you get, some of it starts working for you before you even see it. That's it. 2 moves. A skill you're going to sell and a dollar amount you're going to invest automatically. Do those 2 things and you have officially started the process of breaking the cycle everybody else is stuck in. This isn't about getting rich overnight and anybody who tells you it is trying to sell you something. This is about building brick by brick a life where your paycheck is one stream feeding you, not the only one. I've watched people go from broke to financially free doing exactly what I just laid out for you. Nothing more complicated than that. The only difference between them and everybody still stuck is that they started. So don't just watch this video and move on to the next one. Go do the 2 things I just told you to do. And if this helps you see things a little differently, subscribe, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. And I'll see you in the next one.